additional information without adversely impacting their investigation. So now it is appropriate to release this information. Doing so prior to this point would have had a negative impact on the integrity of the investigation that they were conducting independent of CMPD. What I'll let you know is we were starting our investigation obviously Tuesday after the incident, and then Thursday we're in a position where 2 days later we had a lot of facts and we're ready to present those facts. I am the custodian of that information and could release them at that point. However, during the course of those 2 days, the family requested to the district attorney's office that we have an independent investigation, that being the State Bureau of Investigations. After that had been made known to me, we transitioned all files, all documents, all evidence over to them to conduct their independent investigation. As I said before, CMPD remains the custodial, the functional custodian of the evidence. Therefore, I do have the authority to release. And now that it won't impact the investigation, we're going to do just that. It is also my understanding that the release at this point is appropriate, not to taint the fact-finding mission that the SBI has been conducting over the last 2 days. I believe it's in the community's best interest, obviously. I felt that way Thursday, and I definitely feel that way today. But what we're releasing are the objective facts. What we're giving you is the most complete puzzle that we can without trying the case out in public. And I committed to you, to everybody, that I would not do that. And I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to stick to it. And it's a complex case. All of them are. It's an officer-involved shooting. It's a tragic loss of life. And what I can tell you is there's no single piece of evidence that proves all the complexities involved in this investigative process relative to this case. As I said, it's a tragic incident. We as a community have some work to do. I know there's some distrust. We've been working on that diligently for quite a while now. But obviously there's more work to be done. In the spirit of transparency, you're going to get everything that we can deliver, facts, footage, and an explanation of where we stand today relative to the investigation. At this point, I'll take your questions.
I'd ask that those who have questions just go ahead and raise their hands so we can keep them in that order. Sir?
Chief, can you say clearly so that no one has any questions, are you planning on releasing these two police videos that we know? Because the governor just said that you've decided to do so. We just heard that you're releasing additional information.
Indeed I have, and indeed I will. The body cam footage, body-worn camera footage, and the dash cam footage, yes.
Sir?
Associated Press, why are there only 2 bits of video when there were several officers on the scene?
Sure. These are the specific, this is the specific footage that gives you some visual of what is transpiring. There's a lot of footage that would be showing you people traveling towards the scene, but nothing relative to the incident. And the other thing is there will be more footage that will be released once the investigation is complete, and there's been a definitive decision on the part of the prosecutor. That's when everything else can be released for viewing and consumption.
Chief, you mentioned additional evidence. Anything other than the videos that you're releasing, and can you tell us anything else about? You indicated there would be more.
Sure. We're releasing physical evidence. We're talking about DNA evidence. We're talking specific to a lot of the, listen, we all know there's a lot of stuff floating out there about what has happened, what was not on scene, was it a book, is there a gun? We're releasing evidence that we believe, based on our fact-finding mission, that it will give you indisputable evidence that the facts we started with are the facts that remain today based on 2 independent investigations up until this point.
Courtney Francisco, WCCB.
Chief, people are asking why the detective who shot didn't have on a body camera. Can you address that again for us?
Absolutely, and all of that is under review. Our tactical units don't all have body-worn cameras at this point. We have an ongoing process to upfit all of our officers so that when they're on duty or off duty working secondary employment, they will have body cams. And a part of that is all units, all functional units, and even our tactical units moving forward. We're working through that. We've tried to be intentional because it is me. My concern is showing tactics and locations of officers who are doing a lot of the high-risk encounters. But the counter to that is why we're here today. Unfortunately, I have to do everything I can to protect our people, even if it doesn't feel good.
Chief, you alluded to this during your comments, but I wanted to be exactly clear.
Yes.
Yesterday, you seemed to suggest that it might be a while, you didn't say exactly when, before this might be released. What exactly changed?
What exactly changed is what I need is confirmation that when I release what I'm going to release, there is no adverse impact on the State Bureau of Investigation's investigation. And I have that assurance now. I did not have that assurance prior to.
Quick follow-up. So does
Sure.
that mean that the State Bureau of Investigation, they signed off on it once you spoke with them yesterday? They were okay with this?
I'm sorry?
That they were okay with this, that they signed off on it?
They have given me assurance that it would not adversely impact their investigation. As far as signed off on, I am the custodian, and I'm going to release as soon as I can. All I needed to know is, will it impact the integrity of the investigation? They said no, so we're here today giving you everything that we can distribute at this point.
Chief, you've seen the video, obviously. Are you concerned putting this video out in the public, what the reaction is going to be now that people can make their own decision about this video as well?
Here's what I can tell you. I stand behind the truth. People can interpret anything they want based on one piece of evidence, and I can tell you, I suspect they will based on the video footage. But what I say is you have to put all pieces together. We interviewed a lot of people. We've interviewed all of our officers involved, and the consistent themes were the facts. And that's what I stand behind.
And those facts, you think your officers did the right thing? They followed protocol?
What I can tell you is if laws were violated, I would be taking different action. I won't get into policy because that's another parallel investigation that's internal.
We've seen hundreds of protesters taking to the street over the last few days. Did their protest, their message calling for the release of this video impact this decision at all?
What impacted this decision is the information I've been getting from this community all along. As soon as you appropriately can, release the video. And that's what I was going to do anyway. Our policy is when we can release information that won't be detrimental to the investigation itself, we release. And what I can tell you too is, I just want to remind people is, we're 4 days after the incident. We're talking about 2 independent investigations, and they take time. I'm gonna insist we do it right, not fast. Eugene?
So did this have anything to do with Keith Scott's wife's video coming out yesterday, that cell phone video?
Ma'am, listen. Our practice and our protocol is to release as soon as we can to inform. What is out there, I can't control, nor am I concerned about. I'm standing behind the facts, and today, because it won't impact the second investigation that is being conducted, nor ours, I'm releasing it because it's appropriate to do so. There are no other factors that influence that. There's a lot of information out there, but the only pressure I had is to make sure our people get it when I can give it to them in a way that I can maintain the integrity of what I'm charged with doing.
When can we expect to see the tapes?
The link to the footage, I say tapes too, but I think we've progressed a little bit. It's the footage that will be in a web link to you, and that should be coming out very, very soon, I would say within the next half hour.
Chief, earlier you said transparency is in the eyes of the beholder. Is
Yes.
it your expectation that the release of this footage will calm the city of Charlotte?
Well, I can tell you this. There's some people, regardless of what they see, and here's the thing, everybody goes back to the footage. The footage itself will not create in anyone's mind absolute certainty as to what this case represents and what the outcome should be. The footage only supports all of the other information, physical evidence, the statements from witnesses and officers, and all of the other information, scientific and physical, that create the entire picture. So the video footage is insufficient.
So then,
I've been very clear.
Just remind us how this all began. Was this initially a case of mistaken identity?
No, sir. But all of that will be laid out too. What I can say is there was a compelling reason for them to make this encounter. It was beyond a possession of a gun. It was because of criminal activity that heightened their level of awareness, and they had to change their focus from the priority of taking a wanted suspect off the street to encountering Mr. Scott.
So you're saying Mr. Scott definitely did have a gun, and are any officers being charged?
Officers are absolutely not being charged by me at this point, but again, there's another investigation ongoing. And yes, based on the totality of what we see, he absolutely was in possession of a handgun.
Chief, when the other video was released yesterday, there was a lot of conversation about that you couldn't see the gun on the pavement. Was the gun underneath Mr. Scott? Was it underneath the foot of one of the other officers? Will we be able to see that in the video?
I respect that question. I'm not trying to case here. I'm not trying to case here. You have to make your own judgments, and the process is not done, and I'm not going to try to case today.
Are you going to be giving us the statements of some of the officers?
No, ma'am. I'm going to give you a layout of sequentially what happened, because that, again, is presentation for if this case were to go to court. That's when all of that becomes discoverable, not before.
Chief, the city attorney's office 2 days ago told us that officers were not in the process of trying to arrest or detain Mr. Scott at the time that he was shot. So what then would you say the officers
I'm sorry,
were doing when they
repeat that,
arrived?
please.
The city attorney's office Thursday afternoon
Yes.
told us at WBTV that officers were not trying to arrest or detain Mr. Scott at the time that he was shot by police. What then were officers doing when they approached his vehicle and asked him to get out of the car?
I'll have to let you see the facts, because I can tell you they were intentionally detaining Mr. Scott. That is how we got here.
Well, so then why did the city attorney's office tell us otherwise?
I'd have to defer that question to them.
So they were trying to detain him at that time?
That is the only way you can actually arrest somebody, so absolutely, sir. I don't know what their interpretation is. I can't speak for them. I don't have a law degree, but they'll have to address any concerns you have relative to what they've said.
Morgan Fogarty.
Chief, how much video was recorded during the incident, and how much will we see today?
You will not see all that was recorded today. You will see what is pertinent, specifically where it starts and where it ends up with the end of the shooting, to be quite frank.
Do you have about a time frame, what that?
I do not, because it's two different videos, but we're releasing everything through that point. And the reason we're doing that is the rest of it is, again, is going to be coming out as the process ends, not during the investigation.
Chief, sources have told us, and you talked about the DNA. Was Mr. Scott's DNA recovered on the firearm? And since today is a new day, I'll ask you again, was it lawful for him to possess the firearm?
It was not lawful, given the circumstances, but what I can tell you is, the reason I say that is, what I'll say is there was a crime that he had committed that caused the encounter, and then the gun exacerbated that situation.
So,
And you'll see. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me let you.
so previous to the incident,
Yes.
was it lawful for him to possess that weapon?
Previous-
Or do you say during the incident it became unlawful?
Okay. Here's what I'll tell you. And again, I'm trying to be transparent. The reason for the encounter is because laws were broken, and the possession of a weapon with that law violation caused the officers to escalate their attention onto him. They were specifically looking for somebody wanted. That's why they were there. And to be quite honest with you, what I'm going to tell you is there's marijuana there that they weren't focused on, and they saw him with it until a gun was produced. And you'll see all that. I don't want to get into it. I want you to read it for yourself so you can see specifically why I say the facts are the facts and they will not change.
Chief, it's unfortunate, whether we see the video or not, people have made up their minds.
Yes, sir.
It's pretty split. I want you to address the sentiment that these two competing narratives, one from the Scott family, one from the police, he didn't have a gun, he had a book, he had a gun. What's it like to put out facts as a police chief and have people still not believe what the police are saying here in the city of Charlotte?
It's like, it depends, because I can tell you the vast majority of people I'm hearing about wanted this day to get here just as badly as I did. They want to see the factual, objective facts, and that's what we're presenting. So it's disappointing and it's a little frustrating that you can't release more, but I'm not going to sacrifice the integrity of investigation because I'm not a patient person.
And with
But how does that feel? It's disappointing, but it's part of what we do. A lot of what these officers who put their lives on the line every day have to deal with is there's some people who won't appreciate it, regardless of whether or not they're doing what they should be or not.
And when the family and the family's attorney continues to say that he was unarmed, that they don't see a gun, we spoke to a coalition of clergy earlier today that said they saw black gloves, that they didn't see a gun.
All I say is I stand by the facts. I'm not going to debate it. I'm not going to try to case. That's not my role. Facts speak for themselves.
Chief, a second ago you said that Mr. Scott produced a firearm. Did he make any motion to point that gun at the officers, and can we see that in the video?
I've already talked about that. There is no definitive visual evidence that he had a gun in his hand. You can see something in the hand, and that he pointed it at an officer. That I did not visually see in the video. But what we do see is compelling evidence that when you put all the pieces together, support that.
Chief, you indicated that you're going to release a portion of the video and that the rest of the videos will be released later. But on October 1st, the law changes here, and you won't be allowed under law to release the video. So is it accurate that you will be releasing before October 1st?
You're right, I misspoke. What can happen after October 1st, and I'm sure nobody in this room would do it, but they can go to court in front of the judge and request. That would be the process. But the other side is, if I want to release it, so can I. But again, right now, let's deal with where we are now. And by October 1st, I can tell you we'll be much more in a much better place to address that question than we are today. But the intent is, listen, when I'm done with the investigation and they make their determination about whether or not this rises to the level of a case that would be prosecuted, my intent is to give up everything legally that I can and be done with this process of this case.
You mentioned that you're the custodian right now
Yes.
of the video, even though SBI is leading the investigation.
Yes.
Will you remain the custodian of the video?
Yes. Yes.
Mark Washburn, Charlotte, Missouri.
But as you said, the law changes as far as what I can release without court order. Yes, sir.
Chief, you said he shouldn't have had the weapon. Is that because he was a convicted felon?
Listen, I'm not going to try this case today, but there are reasons there are reasons our officers acted appropriately in seeing what he was doing, breaking the law, and having that weapon. That's what I'm saying.
But are you saying he was legally prohibited from having the weapon?
That's not what I'm saying, no.
Sir, Chief, thanks for that, WRE, the other Officer Raleigh. What crimes did he commit? I don't think you said what crimes he actually committed.
Well, one of which is possessing marijuana. That's what I said. But when you're in possession of marijuana and then you have a gun, that's a public safety issue that our officers were going to address.
Sir.
Chief, was the marijuana possession the only thing that drew your officer's attention to Mr. Scott?
No. What I said was that was the first thing they saw, but that was not the priority. They were still focused on apprehending the suspect. When they see the weapon and they see the marijuana, they say, uh-oh, this is a safety issue for us and the public. We need to address this before we try to serve a warrant.
Corey.
So are you saying he was smoking marijuana and was the gun registered in his?
I did not say any of that. I said he was in possession of
How
marijuana.
did he see it is what I'm asking.
They were conducting surveillance, trying to serve a warrant. I'm sorry. Conducting surveillance, trying to serve a warrant. They see, and their car is closely parked, and they look in the car and they see the marijuana. They don't act. They see the gun and they think they need to.
Sir,
How many witnesses saw the incident, and have you interviewed them all?
We've interviewed all available witnesses that would talk to us. I don't know what that specific number is, but we can find out.
Even if the police say insist there was a gun, why was it a shoot to kill? Why was the man actually killed, even if he's in possession of a gun? And why does this keep happening across the United States?
Okay. The first question, why do we shoot to kill? We don't. We shoot to stop the aggressive act that justifies our use of lethal force. Our shooting is to stop the aggressive act or the imminent threat of such act. That's why we shoot. What happens across the country, I can't control. I wish I could have controlled this incident right here at home, sir.
But after these incidents, people, different police forces have said things are going to change in the United States. We're going to look into this. There's going to be reforms, but it keeps happening.
I'm not telling you what's going to change in the country. I'm just telling you that the engagement opportunities and the work we're doing and will continue to do here to impact the level of trust. The outcomes of shooting, sir, I wish I could control, but I can't.
But Chief, to follow up on that, you began by saying your thoughts and prayers are with the Scott family.
Yes, sir.
Can you assure his 7 children and his wife that every effort was made to avoid using lethal force?
Sir, what I can tell you is this. At every encounter, people can make a decision, right, to follow lawful, loud, verbal commands and prevent some things like this. That's what I can tell you. Can I give assurances to anyone of hypotheticals? No, sir. I wish I could. But
in this case,
Yes.
to his family, can you confidently say every effort was made to avoid lethal force?
As I can tell you, they were reacting to what they saw, and they have a duty to do so. So in the encounter, they perceive an imminent lethal threat by a handgun, and they react to that. That's what I can tell you.
Listen, we're going to take 2 more. This young lady over here hasn't got one.
Chief, when officers go to apprehend a suspect, is it protocol to search surrounding vehicles and question people around them? Is that protocol?
I'm sorry, one more
When
time.
officers go to apprehend a suspect.
Yes.
When they get there, is it protocol to search surrounding vehicles and other people that are around the area?
Context is going to matter. In this particular case, as I said, they see somebody who has marijuana. They say that's not a priority for the suspect they're after. Then they see the handgun, so they focus their attention on Mr. Scott at that point. Hypotheticals and broad scenarios are going to be hard to really capture in one answer.
Chief Joe from the Charlotte Observer.
Yes, sir.
So where did they see the handgun and how many officers fired shots at him?
They saw the handgun initially when he was in the vehicle, and we know of only one officer that fired at this point. And again, those are details that some of which are still ongoing.